the Best in Fintech podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Dimitri, founder and CEO of Trellis and Savvy Insurance. I'm joined by our guest, Ifty Kerzner, co-founder and president of Kissterra.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Ifty. Ifty is a skilled tech entrepreneur. He's spent the majority of his career investing in, founding, and managing companies focused on financial services and data management.
That's all BS anyway. You don't need to go. Everybody writes that stuff. I'm just forget about it.
That's what we found online. Ifty, welcome to the show.
Let's just talk about life. I'm happy to be here with a friend and colleague because usually when I do these things, it's with people I met for the first time. So I'm just happy to be here with a friend and colleague. And I feel like, it allows for a much more free conversation. So forget about all those, fancy words. And we can talk about whatever's interesting.
Let's jump into a little bit about you then. So you have a background in entertainment. I understand that you're well known in Israel, and for our U.S. audience, maybe not as well. What kind of entertainer were you? How did you get into insurance from there?
For the U.S. audience, not at all. I would assume. Yeah. Anybody Google me. I used to be a musician. I wrote and composed music, songs for myself and for others. I've actually had several number one songs on the radio in Israel, which sounds amazing. And it was from the sense of kind of being famous. It wasn't from the sense of we're a very small country. So I was very famous, but I didn't have enough money. Because this was back in 2006 to 2010. I didn't even have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. So there was no way for me to monetize me being very famous. Now, the only way to monetize it was doing live concerts. And I was always kind of shy. I didn't really want to do live concerts. So I had really big hit songs and I was making no money, which is a very, very peculiar kind of position to be in life. Because you can't go in the mall because everybody knows you, they want to talk to you. On the other hand, you don't really have, the money to buy, the house, the mansion, the cars. You're just this normal dude who everybody knows. You're very famous. You don't have a lot of money. So that put me in a very, very unique situation through which my dad told me, hey, son, listen. My dad has been an entrepreneur his whole life. Thank God, very successful. So I think I was like 25 where he came to me and said, listen, son, it's time you man up. Get out of my house. Start doing business. This is what I taught you. I taught you entrepreneurship. Go do entrepreneurship. And if you would ask 25-year-old Ifty, who was a singer-songwriter, and then I forgot I had my own TV show. I had a children's show on kind of Israel's most popular Israeli TV show. So I was extremely famous, not enough money to support that. And my dad kind of put me out of the house. So I thought to myself, okay, I got to make a change in lifestyle. And if you would have told that 25-year-old Ifty, singer-songwriter, TV host, star, that I'm going to sell insurance policies to Americans, I would have shot myself in the face. I was just like, there's no way in the world life is going to take me down that trail. Not to say anything bad about it, just it was very, very unexpected. Now, the way life works is you never know what's coming. And I kind of spiraled through a whole round of kind of the world of entrepreneurship and investments. And then I started working with this big Israeli billionaire, and I actually was doing some M&A work for him in Europe. And when I was doing M&A work for him in Europe, he came from the gaming industry. Gaming is a washed-up word for gambling, right? That's what they use. It's a gambling industry in Europe. He was a big gambling tycoon, and they had the best technology I've ever seen. I mean, all the advancements in internet came from, porn and gambling, right? Yeah. All the processing, the marketing, the personalization, everything came from gambling. So when I saw all the amazing technology they had, and then he sent me to do a DD on a kind of a new age bank, right? One of these new fintechs. And I saw the ways that banks were doing marketing. And I understood that there may be a couple of decades behind the way that the online casinos were doing marketing. And I thought, wait a minute, this is an industry which is 10 times larger, but is way backwards in the sense of technology. And then I flew to the United States to see my friend there, and I started kind of mixing in banking conferences. And I saw the banks in the United States were even 10 years behind Europe. So I said, there's like a 25, 30-year gap here in technology that if I can find a way to start using all the smart ideas that they had in Europe about how to use data to do better marketing, we're going to be golden. And that's what happened. That's kind of how we founded Kissterra 7 years ago. We started by working with financial institutes with kind of all the insights that I had from doing all these things. Then a couple of years afterwards, we kind of pivoted towards insurance carriers, which I always say are very, very similar. I call insurance carriers and banks like the human and the ape. They share 97% of the same DNA. It's the same company when you strip them down. Very kind of similar underwriting or actuary, very similar dependency on third-party marketing. and I saw a big opportunity there. And that's where Segev Shilton, who is my partner, our co-founder and CEO, and myself kind of pivoted to insurance. And that's how I got here. So that's a very long way to say I have no idea, but I'm here and I'm having fun and I'm meeting cool, interesting people.
Are you still working with banks too?
Yeah, no, we kind of migrated out of that a couple of years ago, but I'm pretty sure that in the next couple of years we're gonna migrate back. One of our investors is called Bank Hapoalim. They're Israel's largest bank. So we raise money from Israel's largest insurance company and Israel's largest bank, kind of to set the stage to where we want to be, right? Fintech in general, we want to be insurance, we want to be banking, which are very, very similar in the sense of how they can use data to do smarter marketing.
Very interesting. In Israel, is there such a divide between banking and insurance like we have in the US? Is it a totally separate set of companies and brands?
Well, yes. The answer is yes. Where we do not see a distinctive kind of separation is within insurance. I'll give an example. In Israel, let's say Menorah Miftachim, who are our investors, they insure everything. So they'll insure your car, your life, your health, your pet, your pension fund. So it's like one establishment, right? In the United States, it's more separated, right? You would have the life insurance carriers and the health insurance and the auto, like the PNC auto home, which would be completely different. So it's more centralized in that sense in Israel, but banks and insurance companies are still completely separate.
Interesting. Do you think that's there to stay? Do you think that the consumer wants those things to be separate, or do you think it's just a fact of history and regulation?
That's a very interesting question. I've never actually thought about that. I think that the way the world is built, they're never going to get united. Just because of some of the stuff you talked about, not only regulation, but also the sense of how slowly these two industries move. I mean, they move so slowly separately. I'm thinking conjointly, it's going to be just like the mass destruction of slowness ever seen by man. You know what I mean? It's going to become a singular unit that takes so long for it to move that it doesn't even make sense because banking is so heavily regulated and their systems are so, slow to move, and insurance is similar. If you try to connect the two, it more often than not is going to be a big hype of, I don't want to use a mess. It's going to be a mess.
So you've managed to build a team. How big is Kissterra today in terms of staff?
We're about 70 employees, mainly in Israel, a couple in the States, and we're looking to expand our team into the United States. We only work within the United States. I mean, that's the only geography we're currently active in with our software. So, Israeli company, but our heart and soul is with the American people, and we kind of spend our time, on a plane, which has its benefits because we have a lot of kind of outside the box thinking. Right, we're not really involved in the same politics, the same way that software was being kind of thought after in the United States, which gives us a huge advantage because we really are creative thinkers. I think in Israel, because of the way that the country is built, and because we all do the army, and because we're kind of forced to be creative thinkers because of the unique political situation that we're in, which kind of gives us, I think, a very unique standpoint when we come to view issues and how to tackle problems. That's all the advantage. The disadvantage is the 11 to 16 hours on a plane you have to spend every 2 weeks to come meet your partners, your clients. It's a very big fatigue issue. It's hard on the family. The jet lag is awful. And, to come to a conference when you just came off 16 hours on a plane is very difficult.
Yeah.
And some of the hours we get on calls, are like midnight, 2 a.m. But all in all, I think it's more of it works in our behalf than as a disadvantage.
But it sounds like you spent your 20s training to be on tour. So.
Right. You know what? It all comes to full circle. I always knew I was going to tour the States. I just didn't know if it was going to be in the Justin Bieber capacity or software salesman capacity. Yeah, exactly. I went with the latter.
So, given how slowly insurance companies do move, and that I don't think anyone in this country or maybe yours has the impression that therefore insurance is exciting and hot and sexy to be in. How have you persuaded 70 people to join you on this mission to support this industry?
I actually think, on the contrary, I think that insurance is hot and sexy, and I think interesting was the third thing, because there's nothing sexier in the world, listen to me, than opportunity. Opportunity is the sexiest thing alive. Okay, entertainment, glam, maybe gambling, maybe things that kind of seem more glamorous to people, or maybe more interesting on the kind of surface level. But it's been done. It's been done repetitively by everybody. There's nothing to do there. Insurance is such a blue ocean. And I hate to use these gimmick words like a blue ocean. So I'm just going to put it out there. What I actually mean is opportunity, right? There's so much place for innovation, so much place for ingenuity, so much place for thinking outside the box. It's a sandbox. It's a playground for you to think. I have these working sessions with insurance carriers, top level executives, and they're all like, yes, and can you do this? What about that? This is an opportunity. We don't have this. What about, I'm like, really? All this is an opportunity? You would let us do all this, right? What other industry would allow you to change core elements of it that haven't been moved in the last 15 to 20 years, right? Think of e-com, said and done. Travel, said and done. I mean, not said and done. There's a lot of innovation there. But you know what I mean, right? A lot of work has been already done in the last 10 to 15 years. They're already ahead. You think about banks, you think about insurance carriers, you walk in there, people hold, you want to know how I got into business? I went to the conference, I saw people with a pen and a pad. I swear to God. I call my dad, I say, hey, Dad, people are holding a pen and a pad, I'm going in. I mean, there's a lot of room for innovation. You want to hear another secret of how I came in, just between us?
Sure.
I'm in the conference, I don't see any Israelis. I call my dad, I'm like, Dad, not only are they holding a pen and a pad, there's no other Israeli here. Now, I know kind of our unique thinking. So I said, if there's no other Israeli here in the conference, there's so much room for us to kind of do our thing, right? Because of the unique way we look at a problem. I said, oh my God, this is an amazing opportunity. So I saw those two things. I said, this is a great opportunity to kind of bring innovation. So insurance is sexy because the opportunity is huge. What other industry are you going to sit across a C-level executive of a $70 billion enterprise value company, and they're actually going to listen to you and say, you know what? We're going to change how we've been doing things for 20, 50, 100 years. I'm not familiar with any other industry where that would have been possible for me to do, right? Yeah. And that's why I'm here in insurance. I literally come out of these meetings sometimes, like I call my team, you know what? This is incredible. I cannot believe we're going to be part of this. I cannot believe we're going to be affecting 350 million people in the next couple of years. It's an amazing opportunity. So anybody that tells you otherwise, either liars or they don't understand the issue. Is predictive analytics and big data and regression, what keeps me up at night? No. I couldn't care less. But it's not about that. It's about what are the implications of that data. How do you use this data to make these companies better, to make the lives of the American population better, to just save everybody money in general, and to make things more efficient. So when you can use data to do that, I care. I cannot care about an Excel spreadsheet. I care when you tell me this is going to save 250 million people money on their car insurance or health insurance or home insurance or whatever.
What is it that when you explain to someone new, what do you tell them Kissterra does?
We're the world's first insurance marketing operating system. What it actually means is we've come to connect the organization to its data and connect that data to the marketing department. Because too many years, marketing was looked at as a kind of siloed venture within the company that doesn't really share data with other compartments of the company. So what we did is we developed kind of technologies that connect to other teams within the company, centralize their data, and allows all that to gain smarter marketing insights. And then you can go and use all the tools that all the companies. You can use, Trellis or Savvy. You can use all these companies. But we believe we're going to allow carriers to do that in a smarter way that would allow them at the end of the day to spend more money, to gain better insights, to gain better customers, and to provide a better service for their customers. But it starts and ends with data. What kind of data are you collecting? How are you storing it? How are you using it? How are you driving insights from it? How do you connect underwriting data to policy management data, to claims data, to marketing data, right? How do you connect that whole organization, which is usually fragmented to different departments and siloed? How do you create a holistic view, which is very, very valuable for the organization? That is what Kissterra is.
Someone who's thinking about joining Kissterra, what are they signing up for beyond working on American insurance opportunity and the big data operating system opportunity? What's the culture like? What are the other factors of joining Kissterra?
The first thing you need, I think, is wanting to have an impact, right? The most interesting thing here, again, is being able to impact hundreds of millions of people through working with insurance carriers. That's the cause. And we have to understand that because, we care about having that positive effect. We care about actually bringing value to our clients and to their customers. Because if not, we would have went doing, gaming, dating, financial. There's a lot of stuff, that were a faster uptake a couple of years ago that we could have, been in. But no, we wanted to affect, the majority of the population in a very good way, which is lasting. And about culture, I think it's about caring. We just care. The same way we care about our clients, the same reason why we work with some of the largest companies in the world, which are, American insurance carriers, is the same reason I think people like coming working here, because we care. And caring starts from walking in every morning and saying hi to every single employee and knowing what's going on, but not because you read it in a business manual or how to run a business 101, because it's the right thing you feel like doing, because these are people that are working together with you towards a common cause. So if we're a team, let's feel like a team. Let's help each other feel like a team, right? And then all the way to, how do we measure ourselves? Do we only measure ourselves by kind of, metrics of how much money did we make? How many customers did we get? How many, how is our technology deployed? Yes, that's a thing. But also, how do we feel, right? Not to go into all that new agey BS, but really, honestly, how are we feeling about what we're doing, right? How are we feeling about the value? How are we feeling about kind of, working from the office, working from home, the world that is changing, all these, because the world is going through, the whole workstation is going through kind of a metamorphosis of, we have no idea how work is going to look like in the next 5 years. Let's talk about this, right? How is decisions being made in the company, right? How should we be approaching our customers? What kind of language should we be using? These are all things that are kind of, external to only our current day-to-day missions, but are more broad thinking. So I would assume that in 2022, people want to be part of that. They want to be part of the team that kind of thinks together, talks together, goes on a mission together, and is successful. And the last thing I want to add, you want to join a winning group. You know what I mean? And I think we've been able to prove our track record for the last 7 years has been of a winning group. And we're looking for winners, and we would love for them to join the team, because winning is a state of mind, right? It doesn't have to be a day-to-day thing, and it doesn't have to be, like I said, towards kind of a specific KPI or metric. Winning is a state of mind, and we win. We win because we care. We win because we hustle. We win because we're in it, day in, day out. And, caring is the word. We care about our customers and about, the people that work with us.
What's the story of Kissterra perfume and wine?
Oh, funny you would ask. What am I holding here? A nice little bottle of Kiss Smell. This is our signature fragrance, Kiss Smell.
Kiss Smell.
This is our wine, Bon Voyage, by Kissterra Estate. I don't know if you can see it.
It's real.
It's by Kissterra Estate, and we have the diffuser. We have everything. Listen, it kind of goes back to what we were. Let's be honest, right? And people, please don't hang me from. Insurance can be a little bit boring. You know what I mean, Daniel? I mean, if you're only in the numbers and the data, you're gonna get sometimes paralysis by analysis, right? You get too much into it. You gotta have that, sometimes that 30,000 feet perspective that keeps you kind of focused on what you do. And for us, it's extracurricular activities. We're all about having fun, enjoying yourself. Having a scent, yeah, people thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, we're gonna have a scent. You're gonna do a wine? What does it mean having a wine? It means going to the vineyard, choosing the grapes, picking out, what kind of strains you want, bottling them, going through the whole process. This, our Smell, our signature fragrance, you choose the lavender, the vanilla, the patchouli, the coconut, you know what I mean? You go through that whole process and people love it. It smells fantastic. And if you don't have it yet, I'm going to send it over. By the way, thank you for the amazing mic that you guys send over. I don't know if it's in the frame, but right outside the frame, you guys send it over, an amazing mic. I am forever in your debt. So you have to have those things not to go crazy. And these are just kind of to show what we're about, right? You can imagine that if we've done this, we do a whole lot of other, crazier stuff just to keep ourselves sane, because you can't be all work, no play. You saw what happened.
So these are joint activities.
Yeah.
This is not just the president going out and shopping on behalf of Kissterra.
No, 100%. I have an all hands. I have a meeting that I do for the company, an all hands, and I try to do it every week. And I'm glad that it's not recorded, because it has to be the stupidest, full of nonsense all hands ever done by a founder of the company. I hardly talk about business. I talk about the random stuff, and I just involve people in my thoughts and my state of mind and what I think we should be doing as a company, but not in the sense of our software, but in the sense of just whatever it comes to about music, about TV, about giving back to community, whatever it is that kind of has to say, I just share with people. And I think people like it. They enjoy it. It's nice. It keeps everything kind of, in a more fun environment. Only Segev, our CEO, historically for years, he sends me these message, while I'm doing it. It's like, Ifty, enough. Enough. People need to go back to work. Because, he's very work oriented. Stop with your nonsense. I'm like, but this is part of work. We have to talk about, like, if there was a final of a big, reality TV show, like yesterday, I want to spend half an hour talking with the employees about it, because it's not less important than, what we're trying to do with business. That's my 2 cents, right? If anybody takes anything of it, it's try it. I don't know. It works for us.
Are you all back in the office? Are you all working from the office?
That's a great question. It seems like no, because I haven't seen anybody here. Like, I haven't seen everybody. Wait.
That's one way to find out.
I'll rephrase that. I haven't seen everybody in one place for more than a year now. Okay, I come here every day. I see some of the people some of the time. So when I think about it, I haven't seen 70 people in one place for the last 2 years. So the answer has to be no. I mean, I'm not part of that. We have other people making these conversations. But I love when people come to the office. I like seeing people. I like doing walk and talks. I take people outside. There's a big national park we have, like, literally outside the door of our office. So when it gets a little bit cooler in the evening, kind of 6, 7 p.m., I take people. We go for an hour walk. We talk about life, also about life, right? What's going on? How's life? Forget about business for a second. We have so much time. So that's the kind of stuff that we do. So no, I don't think we're all here.
Have you run into anything or developed any habits or practices, things that make people feel still part of one unit?
I think the video calls bi-weekly. I do one every Sunday, or I try, and Segev tries to do one on Thursday. So they get both of us, like the yin and yang, right? You get that very kind of professional, this is what our software is about, and you get that very non-professional, this is what's going on in the world kind of thing. And I think that balance kind of keeps people involved. So video calls, everybody on, and we just try to have fun in the office. We eat together. We try to eat together. Whoever's in the office, we try to eat together at least once a week. We bring in lunch for everybody. But like I said, physically, not everybody's there. So we try to, and sometimes holidays, kind of we do still kind of activities. It's rough. I'll be honest. It's been a very weird couple of years. I think we just got so used to video calls, right? I can be spending this with you, and then I see you next time in a conference, and I feel like we saw each other, right? It's not going to be like we video. I'm going to feel like I talked to Daniel, and now I'm seeing you in physical life. So I think we're kind of going through these barriers.
The insurance market has changed a lot since COVID. Meteored,
right?
From our perspective, just as people stop driving, and then it's changed around. What are you hearing from your customers is happening, and how is that affecting Kissterra, and what's continuing, to make it? All the insurtech stocks are down and affected.
I think
what's happening at Kissterra, and why is it still exciting to join Kissterra?
I think people are suffering right now. I think the industry as a general is suffering. I think the loss ratios were up, combined ratio was too high. Companies are not making money, and what we put as our motto, our motto in English, is to say we are one with our clients, with our partners, right? Meaning when they suffer, we suffer, right? If they're not making enough money, we'll give them, a discount or not charge them. We're not going to be one of those guys who are like, sucks to be you. We're going to be making all this. No, you have to be aligned and have aligned interests with your, with your customers, with your clients. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a personal belief kind of I live by and we try to run the company by. So that means when your customers suffer, you need to suffer too. Even if it's just for the sake of being, in the same boat with them. Even if you're self-imposing that on yourself, mechanically to prove to them you're in the same boat, I think that's worth a lot. And when things get better, people are going to appreciate that, right? So it's still exciting to be at Kissterra because our tech is great. We're a profitable company. We're doing great, but we are always aligned with our customers, meaning that if they're suffering, we will never charge them the same amount that we have charged before. Or I'm just saying charge, but you understand the kind of model, not to go too deep into kind of business intricacies, but to say that we feel you. If you're going through something wrong, we are here with you. And I don't even mind not making money at all as a company policy if our clients are losing money to be one with them. Because when the market bounces back, we're going to be there. So it's still exciting. I don't think anybody thinks insurance is going away. I think we're in a hard market. I think everybody understands this is like the perfect storm of bad things that could happen with the inflation and the war and the gas price and coming out of COVID. And just everything is wrong right now. But it's going to be okay. If it takes 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half, everything okay. Our clients are the biggest companies in the world. We're a very strong company, very well funded. So there's no panic. There's just, we want to be there supportive of our clients. And I think that's a very, very kind of strong stance we take here at Kissterra.
Nice. As we wrap up the show today, what are some people that have inspired you? Sounds like your dad, but is there anyone you've worked with or anyone whose books you've read or anyone else that you would want to shout out as inspirational for you guiding you in terms of the way that you run your business today?
So first and foremost, you mentioned it, but I have to say it again, my dad. My hat is off to the smartest, most honorable businessman. I feel like crying when I just love the guy, and he's been a huge inspiration for me. He taught me everything I know. Listen, I grew up on this. In my living room growing up, I saw business deals being made. I heard negotiations. I saw what kind of respect he has for partners, what is partnership for them, how he treats his clients. I grew up on entrepreneurship, on taking those red-eye flights, on not seeing your family, on putting in the effort. Those are the values I grew up on. So first and foremost, my dad. Then the people that surrounded him. I think he was lucky enough. I grew up knowing most of Israeli billionaires. And I have to be honest, some of them, you learn a lot about what not to do. Okay? You don't get to be a billionaire by being usually nice and kind and polite. Okay? So I learned from a lot of them what I don't want to do. And by the way, I don't want to be a billionaire. Mainly because I saw negative effect of what that has on people's lives, right? Unlike the one that I worked with. The one that I worked with, was an amazing inspiration. So smart, so sharp, can smell a deal from the other side of the room. I used to be at his house. He has a big mansion in Israel. He has like 7 deals simultaneously. He has an investing firm in the kitchen. And then he has bankers in the living room. And he has 3 prospects in the yard. And he has 2 people in the pool. And I swear to God, 7 deals at the same time. And I would that's a masterpiece. And those chess players, they were able to play chess against 15 people and win. He would have these 7 meetings simultaneously and get the best deal out of all of them together. So he was that smart and that quick. So I think kind of the mix of that, but mainly my dad, and maybe more than anything, I'm still learning, right? You showed me kind of, the demo of your product, a couple months ago when we met. And that has nothing to do with what I physically do, right? It's not similar to my product, but I still learn about how people think about things, right? I remember I told you wow, Daniel, I love the way you thought about this, right? It's very interesting, kind of very inspiring. So at that, I can come to my team, I say, wow, people are doing such amazing things. Let's try to push the envelope on ourselves, right? It doesn't even have to be the same industry, right? You can talk to people from different industries and they do something and they say, wow, if they can do it, maybe we should also try to, kind of push our limits. So I try to learn from everybody. Shout out to Brian Ochiltree, if you know him, CEO of Lead Cloud. I call him the Octobus. like from Octopus, because he does so much stuff simultaneously. So I always learn from him, and I have new friends from the industry. So we keep learning. Asaf Band from Hippo, if you guys are familiar, great inspiration for me. Not necessarily because he actually runs an insurtech who provides policies, which is not necessarily what we do, but just as a visionary, as an entrepreneur. He's been, kind to spend a lot of time with me lately. So people you meet along the way, right? And these aren't people that I've known growing up. So these are people that I met within the industry who were super kind and polite to me from the beginning and really allowed me kind of to spend time and learn from them.
Yeah, that's, I think, underappreciated. A lot of folks think that in order to become a founder, you need to be done. You need to be 100% ready.
Oh, no.
And then all of the lead up, the school, the business school, the contacts, there's a point in time where you're ready, and then you're just executing and leveraging and capitalizing on that investment. But what you're saying is, when you started the company, you're a better leader now than you were then on an order of magnitude.
You are so right with that point, and it's so important for people to understand. Do not feel insecure. I did a podcast a couple of days ago. I mentioned the MVP, right? We came out with our product MVP. I wasn't even sure what the words mean. Minimal viable product, minimal value product. I'm not even sure and I told them I wasn't sure what it means. They were so surprised. They're like, "Oh my God, you're honest about not knowing what it means?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. Why do I need to act like I know everything, right? Everybody feel comfortable in your own skin." When we raised $80 million, I had no idea what these people were talking about. 90% of the actual kind of the clauses within the contract, I had no idea what it was about. And this is after me doing business my whole life. It was just the first time I was involved so deep in such a deal, So don't be ashamed. Go ask people, ask questions. There's a lot to learn. I love this conversation. I think your idea, Daniel, for kind of, influencing each other and sharing the knowledge between ourselves and other people is really honorable. So once again, my hat's off to you, and thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on the show. It was great to chat with you.
I'm going to see you in a bit too in person. And now I owe you.
I hope so.
I owe you the smell. I owe you the wine. My book.
I would love the smell. Yeah, and I'll get my team working on one too. I think it's a great idea.
You see?
We have to have a response. We
you
can't have.
We should show a real kind of example of how to inspire people to do things. So if I come over and you guys have a smell, I'm gonna be the happiest possible.
We're gonna work on it. We're on the case.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Ifty.
Thank you.